Alright, so let's begin by bringing in our base mesh and setting up our image planes and starting to shape our bust a little bit. Alright, to begin we're going to go over to the tool palette and hit load tool, and we're going to load that base mesh that is on the portal for you to download. So if you unzip that base mesh skull.ref zip file, there's a folder in there with the base mesh ZTL and some skull and head reference for you to use, to refer to. Alright, feel free to find other sources of reference, but this should help get you started. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up the ZTL. Click on the ZTL and hit open. And as we talked about earlier, nothing pops onto the screen as it does in other 3D softwares. So if you remember, we click and drag and then come up and hit edit. Alright, so you can see this is our base mesh that we're going to start sculpting on. And if we look in our subtool palette, you'll see that we have 4 subtools. Oops. Alright, the base mesh, lower teeth, upper teeth, and eyes. And that little number 4 that you see next to your swatch right here, that tells you that there are 4 subtools with this particular model. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're aware of which subtool we're working on. We're really not going to be doing much with the eyes and teeth for a little while. Okay, so we can go ahead and just turn those off by clicking the little eye icon right here. And as long as the base mesh is still the one that's selected, we're good to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change my material to the basic material 2. Alright, it's a material I like to use a lot. Alright, and at this point I'm going to go ahead and bring in my first image plane. And to do that, I'm going to come down to Append, right over here, and click on the Plane 3D. Alright, so that's what we get when we do that. And I'm going to come down to my deformation palette, and you can see over here that the plane and the model are penetrating each other right there. So I need to move that plane away. And I'm going to go to my deformation palette, and before I do that though, I want to make sure that I select the image plane in the subtool palette. Okay, and just let me turn it a little bit sideways here. And when I click on the size slider, I can make that a little smaller. And on the offset, I'm going to make sure I click on the Y and turn off the X and slide that up. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, so this is pretty good to start with. Again, I'm going to just make the size a little bit smaller and bring it up. Alright, at this point I'm going to attach an image to this image plane. Actually, I'm going to bring it back first, okay? So in the offset, if I hit Z and turn off Y, I can bring that back. Alright, and that's good right there. And you can see as we roll around, you can't even see it unless we turn on our display properties and turn on double. Okay, and now we can see that. All right, but for our purposes, it might be better just to turn double off, and I'll show you why later. All right, so now I'm going to go to my texture map tab right here. Click on that, and click on the texture swatch, and hit the import button. I'm going to find the reference that I want to attach to that, and I'm going to attach this front picture. Now, it's important that the image you put on there is absolutely square. Alright, 782 by 782 will work. Absolutely square. Alright, I'm going to hit open. All right, and you'll see that the image is now attached to that image plane. Now, the image will attach no matter what shape or size the image plane is. So the image plane comes in square, and we want to make sure that our image is square so that it goes onto the image plane proportionally. All right, I'm going to go ahead and change my material to the skin shade here. You can see that's much lighter. All right, so I've got this one image plane set up. Now I just want to be able to see through this so I can kind of set up the head a little bit better. And to do that, I'm going to turn on my transparency right here. Okay, and that's not doing much right now, but if I come up and turn on make sure I'm on my base mesh, okay, we can start to see through that a little bit. And to really make it pop, if I come up to Preferences and Draw, and first let me just move this over a bit so you can see it. Preferences and Draw. Okay. My front opacity and back opacity, if I just set the back opacity to 0 and the front opacity to about 0.9 or so, all right. Let me just change that material to the basic material too. Now we can see through there quite well. All right. So I can see that I need to lower or actually make my image plane just a little bit bigger. So again, I'm going to come down to the image plane here and click on that. And you see when we do that, we kind of get rid of that transparency there. But that's okay. We're going to go back and check it out. So I'm going to make my image plane a little bit bigger by hitting Size. Okay. And I'm going to bring it down a tiny bit. Click on Y, turn off Z. Okay. And I'm just looking at the ear placement on here to kind of get that in place. Right about there. Okay. And if I come back up and click on my base mesh, I can see that I'm in fairly good shape here. I can probably make the image plane a little bit bigger. Again, I'm going to go to Size and just slide that to the right. Okay, and it looks like my image is a little bit off, so I'm just going to click on the X, turn off the Y, and just slide that just a tiny bit over. There we go. Okay. All right, that's much better right there. So let me go up to my base mesh again. All right, so I can work with that. All right, I'm going to have to move some of this geometry around to fit that, but that'll work pretty good. All right, so now I want to create my side image plane. And again, I'm going to come down to click on my image plane right here. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate that. And again, I'm doing all of this in my subtool palette. I'm going to hit duplicate. All right. So you don't see really anything happen there. But if I come down and click on rotate and type in 90 and hit enter, or make sure, before you do that though, make sure that you've got Y selected. And again, let me type in 90 and hit enter. All right, and as I turn sideways, you'll see that I've got a side image plane there. And to attach a side image on that, since I've already got it selected, okay, I can come down to my texture map, click on that, go to import, find my side picture, and there we go. All right, so now we've got our image plane for our front and our side. And I'm going to have to move my side image plane forward a bit, so I'm going to go to my deformation palette again. The offset I'm going to set to Z, turn X off, and slide that just a little bit forward. Alright, so now if I come up to my subtool palette, click on my base mesh, alright, we can see that I've got image planes that will follow a route. If I go in the back, I can still work on this model because I don't have double turned on. Alright, so this is a great way to set up our image planes. We can adjust the level of transparency if we come up to preferences, and again on our front opacity slider here. So again, let me move this over, and on front opacity, if I just slide that up and down, I can adjust that opacity. Okay, and I can also turn off transparency if I don't want to use my transparency at all. Okay, turn on and off transparency. Now you can also use the solo button right here. Alright, and I've mapped the solo button to the S key on my keyboard. So if I hit solo, it will hide my image planes, and I can continue working, and I can click solo and bring it back. Alright, but because I have it mapped to the S key, I just need to hit S on my keyboard, and I can turn those off and on. Okay? So I also want to make sure I come up here and rename my image planes. So I'm going to click on that. And I have the solo button on so it hides everything. So click on my side image plane and click on rename. And just call it side image plane. And hit enter. And same for the front. I'm going to rename that front image plane and hit enter. Alright, at this point I'm going to go ahead and save my ZTL under the tool palette here. Save as, and let me come over here, and I'm going to call this, give it a descriptive name, I would just call it last name, first name, okay, for now. I'm a big believer in naming conventions and sequential saving. So from this point on, every save I make, or every couple of saves, I'm going to save a new version. So I'll have 001, 002, and by the end of this project, I may have 30 to 60 saves, 30 different versions. All right, you'll find that this is a smart way to work. If your file becomes corrupted or ZBrush crashes before you have a chance to save, you can just go back to your previous version and you've lost maybe an hour's work. All right, so hopefully you're saving often and saving sequentially. All right, when we come back in the next video, we're going to start shaping this and getting the proportions correct and start sculpting on the nose and mouth.